walk over here in this horror movie fog so that you didn't get lost, because you can't see. We are going to go ahead and get started. I promised you more getting to know you activities, and there will be more getting to know you activities. But write a fake tweet. I'll give you a few minutes. Write a fake tweet. Let us know about how your semester's been going so far.
I bought a futon for $30 that doesn't fit in our room, and I think my roommate hates me now after my semester so far.
Like it doesn't fit well, or you can't get it into your room?
It fits in. We just have to like jump over it to get to the bathroom.
Hardcore every day.
Yeah.
With a buddy next to you, or jot in your journal, or a group next to you, whatever you're feeling. Your initial thoughts after having done the reading. What do you think about what you read, about the text, about the author?
I thought there were way too many Shakespeare references. Also, what was that one thing? Paradise Lost?
Yeah.
So Paradise Lost.
I want to touch on just a few things before we move on from section 1. So he starts out by talking about the difference between comprehension and interpretation, and this is page 2 and 3. So either based off of this reading, based off of your own understanding, based off of the synthesis of those two, what do we see is the difference between comprehension when you're reading and interpretation when you're reading?
So from what I was able to figure, comprehension is kind of just like being able to read and understand it. Interpretation is using context or some other tool to like understand it in a deeper way, like being able to see what the writer was intending.
Good. Awesome. Good. Other thoughts?
I kind of got out of it that comprehension is just understanding the text, but the interpretation is assigning a meaning to it using some kind of, I don't know. So one of the sets that's mentioned later in the chapter.
Awesome. Good.
Interpretation of some is very much asking questions about what you're reading.
Yeah, asking questions you read, so annotation.
I wrote down that it was like, if interpretation was seeing problems and then offering hypotheses for those.
Perfect, yeah. So you guys all hit the nail on the head. So this class is really going to be about, if you haven't already, or at least in a different setting, moving from that comprehension phase into that interpretation phase. So seeing those problems as you're reading, applying different ideas to that reading, different ways of understanding it, really focusing on the key specific details of the text itself. When you have contextual analysis, you're bringing in things like historical facts. So we're going to read Jane Eyre later. So if you were doing a contextual analysis of that book, you might look at the time period, what was going on during the time period, what were the norms of the time, right? Who was like in power, what was going on historically, geographically, in popular culture. So you're bringing in other details that are going to help illuminate your understanding of that text. With application of a critical approach, now that's basically going to be 230 if you continue on. So that's looking at things like literary theory, lenses, different ways of mapping understandings of the world onto a text to help you come to some conclusion of it. And then when we move into social criticism, sometimes this is tied to application of a critical approach. So when you get into things like feminist theory, disability theory, gender studies, that sort of thing, it can often be tied to social criticism, but it doesn't necessarily have to come from a theory. It's basically when you're using your analysis of that text to make some kind of larger statement in a way that inspires some kind of, if you hope, inspires some kind of social change or illumination of social problems or issues. Does that make sense? Okay, so just right off the bat, do you guys have experiences with any of these? Do you think anyone is better, worse, pros, cons? How do you guys feel about breaking down analysis in these 4 ways? Move into talking about some set English area values, but first we're going to do a little bit of writing, and this will be not in your journal, this will be another one that you turn in, and then from now on most of these sort of questions will go in your journals versus turning in, but I just like to read them immediately in the first couple of days. So you talked about, you did a little free writing on Monday of what comes to mind when you hear the word write, when you hear the word breathe. For today, go ahead and write about the last thing you wrote that you're proud of. It can be literally anything, right? Especially we can count texts. Note that a little bit. a lot of different ways. So it doesn't have to be paper, it can be paper. And then if you get done with that and you also want to talk about the last thing you read that you're proud of, go for it. Questions? Go over some set characteristics, values that have been discussed as sort of foundations for people who are English majors, minors, taking any English class. But these are very applicable to any field that you're studying, any career that you might want to go into in the future. And so we'll kind of be thinking about these in the here and now for this class in particular, but also more widely. We'll come back to them, think about how they might apply to what we want to do in the future, whatever that means for you, if you know. Okay, everybody got a word in a rough group? Okay, make sure you know all each other's names, and then go ahead and start brainstorming. I'll tell you to switch when it's time.
Crystal. So what we're just brainstorming about what your ability is, where you're not good at being a writer or whatever.
Okay, what do we left is
I think that's it.
I guess like kind of pushing yourself to like try to write what no one else has, which isn't like
ours are like a motivational app. Like I feel like it says like every single day. It's every day.
Yeah. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and rotate. So we'll do a little snake situation. So integrity will go to growth, growth to advocacy, advocacy to accountability, accountability to responsibility, and responsibility to creativity, creativity over to integrity. Did I get them all? Alrighty. Now remember, add more things, extend what's been said, agree, disagree, emphasize,
Oh, if you look at green for a while, that's supposed to make you more creative.
Oh really? I read that in green.
I read that somewhere.
exactly why I wrote.
Really?
Yeah. Steal mercilessly from the things you love.
Oh, I wasn't sure what that was gonna. Steal merciless. Just erase them.
Alrighty, go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
And then we'll head back so you can look and see at your own OG word and how far it has come.
It has come very far. People that write so small. Go into museum like that.
And after you check that out, you can head on back to your seat.
I like that.
Yeah.
So important. Because like sometimes I'll be writing on like this.
Yeah.
So keep these conversations that you've had, these notes that you've made in mind. We will revisit them. Keep in mind, generally speaking, right? Whether you're in this class or these are the ones we're going to be focusing on. But if you want to add more for your own sake, go for it. Or if you need to just more space to write,